Hi, my name's Megan and welcome to the channel where we talk all things travel related. In today's video, I'll be sharing something that I never really talked about before because, well, it's kind of embarrassing. But I am realizing that the more I share my story, the more I realize how incredibly common it actually is. I'll be going through what happened to my skin when I lived in Chiang Mai, Thailand for several months back in 2019, and then more importantly, how I fixed it and how I went about repairing the leftover damage. I hope that this video will help you if you've been experiencing any changes in your skin, especially if you're traveling in Asia, to give you some ideas on what might be causing it, how you can fix it, and then also some insight into treatments you can have done at a fraction of the cost to what they would be in a Western country. I've always been pretty lucky with my skin in terms of acne. Of course, I would get the occasional spot, and my skin is very dry and then prone to redness if I do get a spot, but overall, I wouldn't say I struggled with acne. All of that changed within 1 week of moving to Chiang Mai. I was 23 years old at the time. I'd been living there for a week, and I started just getting little spots on my cheek. And I didn't think much of it at the time. I thought maybe because of the heat, you're sweaty all the time, it's a new climate, it's new food, it's pollution in the air. But then it just kept gradually getting worse and worse. The little dots became big dots and they were coming on my cheeks, my chin, and then also on my forehead. And the bigger issue was that even as spots were healing, they were leaving behind this really dark red pigmentation. So I was getting very self-conscious about going out without makeup on because I would have these active breakouts and then also all these red spots. And especially since I'm very pale, it would show up a lot. I remember waking up every morning and just seeing it spreading to new areas of my face and then becoming more red and leaving behind more pigmentation. I didn't want to go out with my friends. I didn't want to film any videos. I was feeling very self-conscious about it. I vividly remember waking up one morning and I had plans to do a hike with a friend of mine. I think it was even his birthday. We were going to hike one of the mountains, Doi Suthep. It's a very popular hike in Chiang Mai. And I woke up that morning. It was so bad on my face. I felt so self-conscious. I knew I wasn't leaving the house without makeup. And the thought of putting on makeup and then hiking this mountain in the heat and humidity, I just knew it was going to look terrible and it was going to make the breakouts worse. Hearing myself say this looking back at it now sounds so overdramatic, but honestly, if you have ever struggled with acne, breakouts, or anything that makes you feel so self-conscious, you know how much it can affect your life and the decisions that you make. At this point, I was about 3 weeks into living in Chiang Mai and my sole focus became fixing my skin. I would go to the local drugstores, buy all the acne products I could find. I cut sugar out from my diet. I started only grocery shopping and not eating any of the local food or the street food. I stopped eating dairy. I prioritized my sleep. And I also strategically buried myself in work so I would have the excuse to just sit in my apartment with the air conditioned on, no makeup, and no sunscreen to try to heal my skin. Nothing was working. Nothing worked. I felt like I was doing all the right things and it was only getting worse. And at this point, I'm getting super concerned because, like I mentioned, there was the pigmentation. I'm now getting deeper scarring on my face as the spots were fading away and just red blotches everywhere. Which was scary because I figured that even when the active breakouts go away, if they ever go away, I was going to be left with so much scarring on my face. At this point, I knew I needed professional help and I couldn't just go to my regular dermatologist because I was in Chiang Mai. I didn't know what the hospitals were like or who the doctors would be that I could actually speak to. I did my research and I ended up booking 4 different consultations with 4 different dermatologists at different clinics in the Chiang Mai area. I went to the first clinic. The dermatologist took one look at my skin and right away said, "Oh, you're allergic to the water." Okay, well, I was a little bit skeptical because she didn't even ask me any questions, nothing about my lifestyle, and the diagnosis was so quick. So I went to the second dermatologist. One look at my skin, you're allergic to the water. Third dermatologist, you're allergic to the water. Finally, I made it to my last appointment, which was at one of the most highly rated skin clinics in all of Chiang Mai and the most expensive. And the doctor actually took time to look at my skin, to ask me questions, and to review different products I was using, medications I was on, things that I was eating, all of it. She gave me a very thorough analysis prior to giving me any diagnosis. When she did finally tell me what the issue was, you guys won't believe what she said. I was having an allergic reaction to the water that I was washing my face with. Now, if you're in Asia, you probably know, please, I hope you know, don't drink the tap water. But apparently, washing your skin with the tap water can also lead to a reaction. And according to this dermatologist, it was very common for foreigners when they came to Asia, because they weren't used to the water, that when they washed their face with it, they would end up with these breakouts that looked very similar to what I was having. If you are traveling through Asia, backpacking, or if you're actually living there and you're noticing changes in your skin, my biggest piece of advice to you is to book a consultation sooner than later. Trust me on this one. All 4 of the consultations that I had with the professional dermatologists were completely free. The doctors were Thai, but they were highly educated and they spoke excellent English. I felt very comfortable, and when I would ask follow-up questions, they explained things to me very clearly, as well as gave me advice on how I can go about fixing the problems I was having. In addition to the obvious recommendation to stop washing my face with sink water, I was also recommended 4 different products. The good news here is that all of these products were available in Chiang Mai for under $5 US. The first product that was recommended to me to clear the active breakouts I was having was Madame Heng's Acne Clear Soap. So with this one, it's widely available around Thailand. I ended up getting it at Watson's in Maya Mall in Chiang Mai. There's 2 different types, so make sure you get the one that says Teenager on it and Acne Clear Soap. This one was less than $1, and what I would do is every morning I would wash my face with it with bottled water, and then I would apply my regular sunscreen on top before going outside. The second product I was recommended was any brand name of micellar water. This is the one I was using. It's by Marcel, but again, any brand is fine, and you'll find various micellar waters across any of the pharmacies that you'll be at in Thailand or pretty much anywhere in Asia. What this allowed me to do was to remove any makeup, sunscreen, or sweat from my face with just a cotton pad, so I didn't have to wash my face a second time with bottled water before going to bed at night. I would usually use this micellar water when I would get out of the shower. I would avoid getting my face under the tap water while I was showering, and then I would come out and just use a cotton pad to remove any of the water that did land on my face, and again, any makeup or sweat from the day. The third product I was recommended is a very gentle moisturizer. The one that I have here is Ambilica Plus Facial Cream. You'll see that most of the writing on it is in Thai, so when I was trying to find this one, I had the dermatologist show it to me. I took a picture of it on my phone, and then I went to the pharmacy and I asked someone that was working there if they could show me where to find it. I found this one at most of the pharmacies, and it was under $3. If you can't find this particular brand, I would say just get anything that is a very gentle moisturizer, especially if you have dry or sensitive skin. This was more than enough for me to use after I would wash my face with the Acne soap, and then again before going to bed, and it kept my face moisturized enough despite my skin being so dry. So this one was fantastic, but any gentle moisturizer is what you need. And then also don't forget sunscreen. So I would use the Acne soap in the morning, put this moisturizer on, and then follow up with sunscreen on top. The fourth product I was recommended is a face mask to help with the redness and any inflammation that I was having. This product is my absolute favorite, and I wish I could tell you the name, but all of the writing is in Thai. So I'm actually keeping this package, which looks kind of gross right now because all the powder is kind of covering it. Anyway, I'm keeping the package because I'll never be able to find it again. I found this one at a market that's actually on the other side of the old city from Niman. I believe the market is called Warawat. I'll put the name on the screen and then I'll link the map coordinates to it down below. On the second floor of this market, you'll find there were a few different shops with skincare products. These shops don't have names, but most of them were carrying this face mask. So what you do is you put the white powder into your hand, and then you mix it with the pulp of tomato, spread it on your face, leave it on for 30 minutes before bed, and then wash it off. It sounds weird and it looks absolutely gross on your skin, but I promise by mixing it with the tomato pulp, you are really going to be helping the inflammation and the redness that is left behind with the acne or the rash that you have going on. You are also able to mix it just with water, but they recommended tomato pulp, and my gosh, It is so effective. Immediately after using it, I would wash it off and my face would just be so much less red, so much less inflamed, and it would look even better the next morning. I would use this product every other day while I was actively fighting the breakouts. So probably for about 2 weeks from when I saw this dermatologist. One package was good for about 10 uses, so you're definitely getting your money's worth. What I'll do is I'll take a photo of all 4 of these products that I mentioned and I'll leave a link down below. This way you can take that photo, keep a screenshot of it on your phone, and then go to any pharmacy in Chiang Mai, show a sales associate the photos, and see if they carry these products. As I mentioned, all of them are incredibly cheap and they're pretty easy to find, except for this one in Chiang Mai. One other thing I did do was make sure I gave all of my pillowcases a good wash. If you shower at night and then you go to bed with your hair wet on your pillow and then you sleep on that wetness, it's only going to transfer onto your face, which may cause the breakouts to get worse even if you are using these products. These things may or may not help you. It's going to depend on what the root cause is to the changes that are happening with your skin. So definitely see a dermatologist sooner than later and figure out how you can go about fixing it. This is what worked for me. One more thing I'd like to address was that even though I was clearing up the breakouts, I still had all that red pigmentation left over on my skin, as well as a few deeper acne scars. I went back to the original dermatologist, the 4th one, that explained everything to me and asked her if she had any recommendations to help deal with the leftover damage. At this skin clinic, they had a bunch of different treatment options for me to review. The issue was that many of the ones that would be a chemical peel or microdermabrasion were going to be too rough on my skin. It was just too sensitive and it would dry it out and make some of the redness even worse. What she ended up recommending to me was 6 rounds over a 6-week period of IPL. IPL stands for Intense Pulse Light, and it was actually the treatment that I was looking at having done when I moved back home to Canada several months later. The thing is that IPL needs to be done over a period of time, so as she mentioned, 6 rounds over 6 weeks. In Canada, each round was going to cost me between $100 and $200, so the entire treatment was going to be over $1,000 to gradually fade the pigmentation and scarring that was on my face. At the clinic in Chiang Mai, each round of IPL was only going to cost me $20, which meant I could go through the entire 6-week treatment for around $120 in comparison to over $1,000 back in Canada. I did my research and I read reviews from others who had gone through IPL at this particular clinic, and most of them were great. There were 5-star reviews. People were very happy with the treatment as well as the service that they received. So I went for it. The procedure is not painful and it's very gentle because it uses superficial wavelengths to kill bacteria, stimulate new cell turnover, and then also reduce redness. The results are meant to be a significant reduction in discoloration, breakouts, and scarring. But you need to have at least 3 treatments in order to start seeing any results. I booked my first treatment, and what they had me do was go into a room, lie down on a table. The room was very nice, it was all very clean, and then the technician came in and she would start by taking off any makeup or sweat on my face so it was completely clean. She did this in like a bit of a facial massage as well, so it just felt great. There was no pain here at all. She spoke excellent English and she instructed me to then close my eyes. She put a towel on top and then she put an additional eye mask on top of that. She let me know she'd be starting with one of my cheeks, cooling the area of skin first, and then using the IPL light treatment, so I could expect to see a little bit of flashing through the eye mask that I had on. She put some ice, it was wrapped in a towel so it didn't hurt or anything, it was very mild, cooled my cheek, and then I would see flashing lights, hear a little bit of mild beeping, and then that area was done. She then continued doing the same thing on my chin, my other cheek, my forehead, around my nose, covering everywhere so I would have an even treatment, so there would be no discoloration. The series of cooling, beeps, and flashing lights lasted no more than 5 minutes, and then she followed up with just putting a nice moisturizer on my face, and I was all done. I was able to pay with credit card on my way out, and the entire process from when I walked into the clinic to when I walked out was about 15 minutes. There was no redness, no skin drying, nothing particular that I had to do after having this procedure done, apart from putting on sunscreen because your face can be a little extra sensitive to the sun. There's no post-procedure downtime. I then went back for the next 6 weeks and had the exact same treatment done. I started to really notice the redness fading and going away after about my 3rd treatment, and once I had finished the 6 weeks, my skin was better, softer, more even than it had ever been in my life. I was so happy with the results that I recommended it to friends, and they ended up going through the same treatment at the same clinic. They were also thrilled with the results. However, definitely do your research and read the reviews before you go and have this done just anywhere. I do have a girlfriend that was in Bangkok, and she did IPL as well and ended up with very patchy skin because the technician wasn't doing it evenly. She was applying more light to some areas than others, so she ended up with light patches and dark patches. Definitely do your research, read reviews, and go somewhere with a good reputation if you are going to go for IPL or any other treatment while in Asia. I hope this video was helpful in giving you some ideas about what might be going on with your skin, as well as ways you may be able to start clearing it up. Definitely see a dermatologist, and in the meantime, maybe try just washing your face with bottled water because you may be affected by the water like I was. Let me know in the comments down below if you've ever struggled with any strange skin changes while traveling, and then what you did to fix it. I also accidentally once turned all of my skin orange, but that is a story for another video, which I will also link down below if you are curious. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really supports my channel and helps other people find these videos. And then I hope to see you back here on the channel, same time, same place, next week. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good one and happy travels. Bye.